didn't realize it was the most important thing. Because they know that they're influenced by sophisticated philosophers, for example, they're good at constructing arguments and writing papers and papers after papers and papers, but they're not seen as interesting to the rest of the world. And I think being seen as interesting to the rest of the world counts as something.
I'd agree.
It does. Like, a lot of times, it just shows how much it's socially influenced, and what socially influenced is not necessarily corresponding with what's important. Everything's just so much fad.
Do you guys go on TikTok?
Yeah, I brought Nick Tarantino over too, and we talked a lot about like the early rationalist community and how how people they seem like there seems to be some decline in early LessWrong, and it seems like a lot of people who are exposed to a lot of people, it seemed like you had to be exposed to a brief window of time, like in the late 90s or early 2000s or mid 2000s. Back that was when internet culture flourished the most, and when people were most constrained. Like, so early the Facebook were like amazing beyond anything else.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, and later people weren't able to see Facebook back when it had all those quirky Facebook groups, which are actually Facebook groups and not just profit-seeking.
Yeah. They're is with less people. I think quality just decreases in size with a lot of these things.
I'm up to date.
Yeah, also just like anger culture on the internet, and a lot of it made people afraid to post anything on Facebook, or journals. Like I think.
Wait, so Alex, why are you so insistent on keeping memories?
Oh, it's so valuable.
It is. It makes you loved in the future, basically. If you want people to in the future love you at your biggest and feel the most intense feelings towards you, it's just much much easier to love a more complete version of you, especially when they see the entire developmental history of you. That's why people love Aaron Swartz, for example, because Aaron Swartz is much better capturing his life than a lot of other people. This is even why people sometimes can't help but love some of the Column killers, because their memories were archived much better than most other people's memories were back then. Like, if you were hyper-analyzed to the extent they were, it's hard not to empathize with them and what they're thinking. Because
you get to see a richer
exactly.
Yeah.
Because they captured so much of their lives in video, and you hear so much of the gossip of them, and they literally, that's why they turned Dylan Cleveland into a fucking lovable person, especially with all the books written about them.
I'm not too concerned about how people remember me after I die.
It's not that, but people are more likely to treat you very well, especially if, say, you don't necessarily have, especially say if, I know some older people, and it's, loneliness statistics are fucking frightening, basically.
It is, yeah, no. I mean, there are a lot of unfortunately very lonely elderly people living in China.
Yeah.
In Japan, it's very sad.
Yeah, and one of the best ways of reducing your chance of late life loneliness is to be very good at archiving what you were like in the beginning, because it just makes it easier for people to love you, and it also.
I'm also not too afraid of being lonely though. When I get old.
But it's easy to say that when you're not.
It's obviously
right?
easy to say that, but
try being lonely for weeks at a time.
Yeah, no, it's fair.
It's kind of different.
It's fair.
Even when I just went hiking by myself in Israel, and I just spent an entire day or 2 or 3 alone, and at night I saw people, but during the day, just had these hours and hours and hours alone. You understand why being around people is so important.
Yeah, it's true.
Hey Alton.
Hey.
We're making a recording.
Sure.
Do you want to be on it? You're on it. Hi.
Be in the future.
It's you in the future.
Yeah, well,
but when you say
it's
that,
how people in the future will view you.
Yeah.
This is exactly how people in the future will view us.
This is probably how people, if they saw this, that's how they'd view us.
Yeah.
But it's only one snapshot. You need way more snapshots.
But how many snapshots do people view? Most famous people. I mean,
they just look at the most interesting ones, the ones that blow up.
Yeah.
They don't see all the nuance.
It's not. Yeah, exactly. It's not a full set of life. I know people who read.
Even in this moment, you'll still never have that. There's a million thoughts. But as I'm speaking these words, you guys are having hundreds of them.
Yeah.
As you lay here, the texture of your laying here is also a valence. I don't know how you can compete there.
You can, but let's see the touch here. That's some good touch.
Yeah.
Is Alex's touch?
Right, the fidelity of that.
Your
and
hands.
the pixels on this guy.
Our hands. Yeah.
Right.
Good feelings.
Your relish.
Thanks. You're hitting at Alton?
Life is good.
In this moment. Yeah, but I'll be in there.
Okay, cool.
So yeah, enjoy sharing more time too.
Thanks. Nice.
Well, yeah, I'm just going to the other room, but...
This is a good recording. You want to end in a sec? What are we gonna say?
What?
There's not much to say to end it. There's like way more moments to capture.
Yeah, I mean,
something, but yeah.
there is something. Yeah, it's like I wish everything, all the interactions here. It's like, yeah, there are some really cool people who came who are like outside of the standard Andre sphere, which I appreciate, and also like there's definitely like here in Coma, it's like a different atmosphere from like the standard rational community in the North Bay.
Yeah.
And me and Nick were also talking about like there's like Miri, how like a lot of people in early LessWrong were really impressive, but they failed. So this like recording is so important is that they failed to like capture what early LessWrong was like the magic of just all the magic of early LessWrong, and why like later people who were born in later years don't really get how magical early LessWrong was, and it's a huge regret why we weren't able to capture the capture how Mavian was, or like if. That's why, like, I really love Sean Parker's recordings.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there were videos of him taken back during the Napster days, and that was when he was, like, so ebullient, disrupting fucking everything. When he had so much courage and confidence, whereas now it seems like everyone is just so scared of doing a lot of shit because they're just scared someone will scream at them or criticize them. I don't know. It's like, that's one of the sad parts of the internet culture, that a lot of people are just, like, so scared of getting criticized that they're afraid to put anything out there.
Yeah. Sometimes you just gotta put it out there. And also it's like inspiring for other people to see what the attitudes of the people are so early on, because it shows you it's possible. The people don't even realize what is possible, certain ways of thinking are possible, certain ways of doing are possible.
Or that it's possible to do it and then not see the blowback, or even if you do see blowback, it just doesn't fucking matter in like 5 to 10 years. And the fact that it's out there matters more than any of the blowback or hate your mail you get. Especially like early YouTube, you saw a lot of people making fun of each other in their comments, and it really doesn't matter. You just can't live life according to how the haters review you. You have to live life according to which people who give the most charitable impression and interpretation of you will see you, and they're the ones who are like most likely to reduce your chances of late life loneliness, which is like one of the most important reasons why this is important.
Yeah, I feel that. I'm gonna end the recording, but this is amazing.
Yeah. Okay.
Where do you think we are, random person watching this?
The Science Center?
Well, no, that's where we are, but
yes.
The question is for someone random who's watching this.
Okay, where do you think we are?
I feel like this is Dora the Explorer, where we're waiting for the answer.
I don't think there's that in general.
What are you thinking right now, seeing your reflection in this selfie?
How do I look with this weird ass haircut? I don't know. It's not exactly styled the best way right now.
But it's not about thinking words. I don't think in words either. But could you think? Could you be conscious without reflection? So my intuition here is that most people obviously,
When did you get this haircut?
In some sense.
Uncle brought me to some Asian haircuts in Los Angeles.
How was LA?
It was like, I don't know, it was originally better, but then, I showered and then I don't like to style it in the right way, maybe.
Well, not the haircut, but how's LA in general?
First degree intentionality.
LA.
Second degree intentionality. You think that someone else.
I got to meet friends, and I got to meet like a family. And extended family is like important because they're like really generous towards you, and they really want to help you. And they're willing to go out of the way to help you because they value and appreciate you, even though they're like a little normie. But even then, I mean, you have an established relationship anyways, and they're generous in spite of that. I got to visit Caltech a couple times, several times. I got to visit all the houses, like Ricketts, Blacker, Lloyd, and I got to eat at the house dinners, which I've heard so much about the houses, and they seemed like
that also raises the question.
it was underwhelming, to be fair, when I visited, but it's like the drama and interesting stories happen during other times, like maybe not when I was visiting, or like 5% of the time, that's when the interesting things happen. Caltech also has like a lot of cool labs. Again, it's a small school, so it seems like underwhelming. Like really, the most fascinating school I've ever been is really MIT. There's no. I mean, Caltech has like high per capita output, but in terms of total output, it's nothing compared with Boston. The weather is like, air pollution. I totally noticed it. Like, I definitely, it's not horrible air pollution. It's just moderate air pollution, but it's still above the Hui limit, to the point that if you want to preserve your brain functioning, you want to wear an air mask pretty frequently if you stay in the air frequently. But then at nighttime it's much better. It's like very automobile dense. It's like totally confused with automobiles. Like, you know how Boston tries to Boston, New York City, they try every way to make you take your cars off the road. Whereas in LA, it's totally the opposite. But yeah, that's why in LA you also have these massive traffic jams that last for hours. And all this pollution, and it's just like not very public transit. Like, I had to just Uber everywhere because it's not very public transit friendly. So yeah, I got to meet the Teal Fellows. They actually were having a summit for their Teal Fellows around the time I came. You know how they were. So I talked to Gemma, who say that one of the reasons why Peter Thiel came to LA is because LA has all these venues that have money and capital, but that are outside of tech. So you have the movie industry, you have the avocado growing industry, or like a lot of the farm industries. You have a furniture industry, or like antique furniture, and you have people who have the demand to buy those shit, even if they're might not be that technical. I got to meet the Everpedia people too.
Everpedia.
Yeah. So yeah, they're cool, awfully chill. I'm still not sure if they're like gaining traction in any way, and I'd like to see more evidence of that. They created an article about me too, which is like very bare bones, and which I would probably like to expand a little bit. I got to meet.
There's a bunch of
let's see. Oh, Michael McCallick. I totally got to have dinner with him. He's so underrated. One of the smartest people I know in terms of like general knowledge, even if it's not mathematical knowledge. But it's this type of knowledge is still important. Like he doesn't like freeze his nuts. He takes a lot of supplements, especially weird supplements like ribose or all those DNA precursors. But you know, he's very sharp with it. He also showed me his professor Michael Rose at UCI, who is a he studies evolutionary biology, aging. He has talked to people like Peter, like William Hamilton, and the guys who were originally behind theoretical biology. And he was the one who recommended the Methuselah Flies books they wanted to ask you about. Because,
did you find the book?
I haven't visited the Ernst Mayr library yet, but I will like maybe Monday or whenever it's convenient.
I know that
oh my god. Also UCI is a cool campus. They even have like a game and esports center where all they do is like play League or common games. They have it like funded through it. It's like the esports you know how most colleges have sports scenes? UCI basically is like the precursor to the entire esports scene. They have so it's like a large university. Also, it's like a design. You see, Irvine is also a central design city. So it's a very new one. So 1971. So you see all these trees, young trees planted in a fancy way. They also have a lot of gated communities. Very like it's like kind of exclusive-ish. I mean, Orange County itself is a little bit more exclusive than LA, even though they want to like keep some of the garbage from LA out of Orange, because you know how LA is like very messy and chaotic, and Orange County doesn't want the messiness and chaoticness to spread out from LA.
Cool.
Yeah.
I think that's a good historical statement about your time in LA. I'll end the recording.
Also, living microwave vegetables, because no shop complete without me eating the vegetables. There is another way for me to prepare vegetables too.
What are the vegetables?
Frozen vegetables. That's how I usually get. That's like my basic. That's like most of my diet, frozen vegetables. Hello. Yeah.
Okay, I think it's fine.
Okay. Can I try lifting it? I want to see how heavy it is.
Yeah, you can try lifting it.
Wow, it is definitely a weight.
Yeah.
Cool.
That's all good.
this scene. Not. This is trash. No, okay, this is in here. I have a new Sophie card thanks to, you know Ben Yu, you've heard of Ben Yu, right?
I've heard of Ben Yu.
Yes. This is thanks to him.
What does the card do?
Oh, I can send you a referral code too. It's like a debit card that gets a savings account. It's a checking account that gives you 2% annual interest, which is actually like higher than a bank. And you can it refunds all withdrawal fees. Yeah. Also, yeah. If I send you a referral code, I can get a bonus on you signing up, so I can do that. And you also get a bonus referral. The top Ben Yu has basically been getting rich off referral codes for a long time. So he has like just 800K just banked, and he just gets to do whatever he wants.
How much has he made off of referral codes?
Oh, referrals. It's Bitcoin referrals of Bitcoin over like millions for sure. What is this scene? Wait, did I even order this? Oh yeah, I know what this is. Okay. So, you have Sophie. This is... activate this, or just take this picture before throwing it away.
Okay.
Yeah, this is a pollution mask I often wear, but notice how it's like brown over here, so it's not super breathable. So this could be used for a bit more time. What?
Yeah, take one step back. Or
Okay,
something like that.
take one step back.
Yeah, you can keep talking.
Okay, yeah.
Just so you know, like, I'll show you how far away you are from the camera, like this.
Oh, okay,
So,
cool. The
yeah.
focus. Interesting.
Do you like it better when I keep it here, or do you want me to?
It's fine here. That's here. Yeah.
Like I should face the camera so you can see yourself. Okay.
Yeah. How long are we gonna film today?
It's really up to you. So I have
Okay.
a couple hours.
But then there are memory. There are also like memory requirements.
Memory requirements. Yeah, that's right. So, for now we could just keep filming, hang out. I think a couple hours is a good metric. Maybe 2.
Okay,
hours
2 hours.
Yeah.
Cool. And what do you plan on doing afterwards?
Well, I'm missing a class, so maybe I should go to the class at MIT. Maybe I shouldn't.
Oh, how to make almost anything?
How to make almost anything. Yeah.
Yes. Cool. Let's see here. Oh yeah, this is good. Like I take 1,000 every day.
What is that?
Metformin.
And what does it do? Metformin?
Anti-diabetic. It's like a blood sugar lowered. It suppresses gluconeogenesis. It's also like has epigenetic effects. It kind of could like convince your body that you're starving. So it upregulates a lot of like hormetic good stuff in response.
You said the word anti-diabetic. Are you diabetic?
Yeah. No, I'm not diabetic.
So can you explain why someone would take this?
Oh, anti-aging.
Anti-aging?
Yeah, it's like the standard anti-aging drug. Like, a lot of aging researchers takes it.
And why are you interested in anti-aging?
For a huge number of reasons, because people start aging in their 20s, and it basically like decreases your ability to adapt, decreases your energy levels, decreases your neuroplasticity levels. Basically, almost every function people can do is it helps you achieve your goals in any way, long-term goals in any way possible, because it just makes you more energetic and flexible and robust later in life. So, How could you film me using my computer?
Film you using your computer?
Yeah,
Of
yeah.
course, yeah.
Yeah, because like there is nothing complete without me using my computer, because it is like this course I am subsist on most of the time. This is the game that I grew up on, and they have a new limited edition. It's like a quick game. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, notice the beautiful images around here. Yes, I've been here for a while. It's really cool and stabilizing for me.
How long have you been in Cambridge?
It's like 3 years or 3.5 now.
3.5 years.
Yeah,
in Cambridge.
yeah.
And yeah, do you like it better when I ask questions, or?
You can ask questions. I think you can ask questions.
Okay. I'm gonna go back to the first question
Yes,
that I asked
yes.
when I came in.
Yes.
I have this video camera. I'm here to make some type of film.
Yes, I also know that last year we actually discussed making some film of me that might have transcended some of the questions Alan asked me, simply because you might sometimes have better questions than him that reveals more of who I am.
Yeah. So there's this question: who are you?
Yeah.
That's one question.
Yeah.
Another question that people might be curious about is, what are you trying to do? So you talked about anti-aging.
Yeah, that's just a robustness scene. I'm not necessarily the most effective, but there are a lot of strategies there are like some strategies that do like very heavy vegetable diets that actually oftentimes lead me surprisingly like I do seem to often be in state of ketosis. If I keto because the heavy vegetable low carb diet. And I think one thing I'm trying to do more is recapture more of myself. If this is what you're doing for me, and I don't do enough of, because in the long run, what lasts is if you want to like resurrect yourself, or not necessarily resurrect, but resurrect some AI version of yourself, is to basically recapture and record more of yourself, because then it'll be able to create, say, a simulation of you in the future if you capture yourself in enough detail, which I think more people should do. And also, like, I think wealth is data in a sense. I mean, wealth is also use, but wealth is data. So the more data you have about yourself and your operation, I think it does your unique value system and about yourself, and the unique value system and action patterns to confirm the world, the more of a certain type of wealth you have, and the more, say, future people understand you. Because I think, like, in order to, like, live for the long term, you have to, like, live for future people rather than competition or comparing yourself with people in the present. Like, I think, it's, like, really, I think, one advice that Peter Thiel recently gave in one of his latest talks is aim to live for the future, and so students said look to see what you're doing in the future, and don't just look at your education. Don't look at education. Look at your future, basically, because it doesn't really. It doesn't in the future. So mine was kind of like a messy path, and I mean, it could have been so much better if it wasn't so messy, because I actually, like, I could have lived in because a lot of my skill set is kind of like is like so optimized for basically being someone of the future rather than someone who is like tied in with traditional shit other people tied in with.
Pull this out so to just try a different view.
But also, I do think that living in the future does mean in some respects recapturing the developmental process in which that made you, and I think that shows someone in the most beautiful. That's kind of beautiful in many ways to be able to recapture someone's basically the entire ways that they became who they are, which I think basically captures the essence of someone, and also because most people don't capture things, so most of the context that people grew up in is lost, and I think future people are going to value this information more. That's why like ode diaries are so super valuable. But if you like have ode archive footage of what you were like in the 1950s or 1980s or whatever, or whatever, it just makes it super special when so few other people have archived it. Especially they like you have to like be confident enough in yourself to like archive it in your own way rather than publish as a book. Book publishing is kind of overrated. It makes you depend on other people, which isn't necessarily a good thing. And I think if you have a certain type of resource, it does or self-agency, you can do things like self-publish and this basically holds you less accountable to a lot of, say, the forces that have been increasing the homogeneity or conformity of a lot of research papers. It turns everything into kind of a popularity contest. It also like makes original work and confidence in yourself harder than it is before, because people then derive confidence from what other people think of them rather than what they can do themselves.
Peter Thiel.
What about for a huge number of reasons, he's like really important for me and for a lot of other people, even though everyone says they have some sort of disclaimer on his politics or whatever, but it's just in a day when people are just like, and I think a lot of people like they really like him, but even if they really like him, they don't fully get him. Like they don't really read what he's trying to because he also like does thing where he consciously obfuscates what he does. I mean, like even after I first heard of Peter Thiel, I was still like way too much into the academic grind. Even though I really realized I shouldn't, I totally had that privilege and opportunity not to. So one thing I've noticed is that if you hang out in the right social circles, like next to Harvard, for example, you can make friends with academics, or you can know what goes on in their labs and not necessarily have to go through the, say, traumatic training process. And I think the training process, some people survive it well, but some people like they consider it like. They feel like the training process is like that everyone has to go homogenous to the same training process, and weeds out a lot of people, such as people who are big picture a lot of people with big picture focus. So one thing I've noticed, and I'd like to visit him sometime when we're here. Sometimes it's Vince Giuliano. I mean, he has a PhD and all that, but he's now 90 years old. So as someone who is 90 years old, it's not like he can have a traditional career anymore. I've noticed this a lot of older people, like past age 65, that it does get hard for them to find jobs or careers. So they often do their own thing. Like they self-publish on the internet, or they post blogs that other people can read, which insulates them against pervasive market forces that may cause and say job discrimination. It's not age-based discrimination as much as it's just, I think people tend to work with people who are similar to them, or who can get things, and oftentimes older people are more likely to have their own unique idiosyncratic language and worldview that might make it a little bit hard for them to adapt to, say, Web 2.0 or startup work environments. they're remarkably independent. Like for instance, Vince Giuliano, who basically has this massive tome on aging. He in fact basically he used to be into physics, but then at like age 70 he went straight into biology, and the depth in which he gets into biology is just so massively impressive. And it's like this kind of even though he doesn't get as much respect as I wish like he kept. So like it's like people like him and it's like Michael McCulloch, who I wish totally recaptured their bursts and orogeny processes as they grew up, so that they could be appreciated more by the future generation rather than just appreciated when they're owed and not necessarily at the prime, but also just so that people can just emphasize with them just much more. Because as much as I like a lot of these people, like another ex-physicist called Josh Middledorf, or another astronomer called Reasonified Aging. One thing I noticed that's really cool was following people in the aging sphere. Like, I'm going to get this person's book. Yeah, he basically sent me his copy of this book, Cracking the Aging Code by Josh Middledorf. Also Dorian Sagan, who was, Dorian Sagan was also a really innovative thinker, a little bit contrarian, but I really like the contrarians. Like, so I think contrarianism is often the common theme, and I don't like the word contrarianism because it's an overly reactive term. Rather, it's not that contrarianism isn't inherently progressive. It's more like of a reactionary term than a progressive term in itself. It's more originality that they care more about, and oftentimes it's sometimes hard to be original if people around you don't fully appreciate your ideas or have the motivation to understand them. So I think one thing that comes with some of these older people like Josh Middledorf is that they are older and they are free from say all the say weird academic pressures of like having to continually stay relevant all the time, or always having a response to the question, what are you doing right now or with your time, or stuff like that. So they often have to deal with those pressures, and it oftentimes results in work that isn't fundamentally a breakthrough science. Rather it's oftentimes more incrementalist and not always worth reading in the long run. Like oftentimes, there are some books that are a lot more worth reading. So one thing I like about anti-aging people and the science of aging is that you attract a lot of really, really long-term people, and a lot of people who know that once you get older, you kind of realize it's the most important thing, because they know that their energy levels aren't what they used to be, and their adaptability isn't what they used to be. But if they can be an expert in one thing, it's like modulating their own aging rate, and if this thing results in say 5 to 10 years of extra healthy life at least, then it totally makes it worth the investment of a few intense years of learning all the intricate biochemistry details involved. For example, I'm going to an AA conference in Montreal in November, which would be really awesome to come to. They're friendly. They're just like really friendly people, and also like because it's relevant to everyone. So I also know a lot of other academic areas where they do, like climatology, where they do attract some sort of like outsider interest, but the amount of depth and obsession I have seen in people in the aging field of let's say outsiders in the aging field seems to be much higher than other fields. There's also definitely a lot of BS and a lot of junk science that's flouted if you like just rely on Google or just rely on marketing schemes, And yes, any marketing scheme that says the words anti-aging is going to attract a lot of crackpots. But I seem to have a way of just identifying or stumbling onto people who aren't crackpots. Like, for example, Josh from the door. Even though I don't necessarily believe, which I think, and I think I don't necessarily believe in program theory of aging as the main cause, but it's a culprit. But I do think it's his thesis is clear, and some parts of the future program actually are, let's say, relevant. And he basically makes the science so basically like so much more clear than say than you started out with, which oftentimes you don't necessarily get reading, say, a lot of standard research papers. One thing is that I'd like to have like a clip to record things with me. Like I have an iPhone, or so I want those clips that can like hold your iPhone to your shirt, so that you can use it to record while while basically you're on it. So have you heard of like the quantified self too?
Yeah.
Yeah. The quantified self is that people who just quantify everything, and like sometimes I like to do more scenes, so I don't necessarily track every scene. But it's anything like an out tracks for me. It doesn't require investment in energy and resources. It's something that I really could appreciate a lot over time.
Here's what we'll do. Flip it. That's good.
Okay, cool.
You're talking about the quantified self.
Yeah, and there are like a lot of people who are so nothing was being unattached. Being unattached is that because you have a lot of free time, you actually have the opportunity to go into people and let's say academic departments and just view them over periods of, let's say, 5 to 10 years, see them evolve, see what people fuss over, see what people fuss over more, and just see what lasts, and see trends and patterns, and say, also, like, if you watch student populations evolve over time, you'll also see there generally there are poor intergenerational transfer, which I think people could appreciate more. It's just seeing how people were like, say, 5 to 10 years ago, because like we're in an essay on stress. People just stress out over the smallest things, and it's just amazing that the lack of intergenerational communication might be one reason why they stress over. Of course, there are other factors such as parental factors that also cause it, but the weird thing is that sometimes the neuroticism and stresses of those who have these issues actually somehow transfer onto those who don't necessarily have those issues. Like, even Lucas said of Princeton students that he had a difficult time. He felt the environment at Princeton really toxic, and a lot of it is because it's just a very careerist, very, like, resume building culture out there. And people all have, and there's all the standard question people ask each other: what do you do? What are you doing for the summer? What do you plan? And people just have to say face for it. That if you're doing something long term and that can't easily be explained, it makes quick answers to those questions a little bit harder. Even though the fact is people don't really care that much about the answer as much as you think they might, and even if they do care, it doesn't necessarily mean that they will care to the same extent like a year from now. Like, I think whenever in order to think long term, you also have to know, like, if people impress with you, are they still gonna, or even if people care about you, are they still gonna care about you in 5 to 10 years when life circumstances might cause them to change so much, or get so overwhelmed with their own life that they simply just stop, like, caring, that they simply don't have the capacity to care. Like, this is also why I really care about intergenerational transfer, or transferring the essence of yourself to new people, because there's a chance that newer people might care more than older people, especially, like, the more unusual you are to someone, the more they may think of you, and the more you might mean to them. In fact, especially if you're unusual enough to inspire them to make major life changes, which somehow I've inadvertently done in a number of people, even though it wasn't the original way. Like, I used to want to change people's lives in more of a traditional way. Like, for example, I used to care more about maybe it's traditional mentoring or academic advising or even like helping people on online forums or Quora, but in reality, often this doesn't scale very well. Like even if you're like the best TA ever, that's not going to scale. And it's why I think if you're the best TA ever, you should like record your sessions more so that it will be meaningful. And even though the person you're trying to help ends up having different priorities in life and just forgets everything, it's something about this will be lost. Like, another thing that the thing I did yesterday at Yale was I went over to Diana Lund's office, and then she just went, and so for like 3 hours, she just basically shared all the papers she found interesting in her reading process and her notebooks and all that with me, so that I could, it made me almost want to become a personal assistant to her. Because like she had, so it makes me want to read all her papers on aging, and also like I just went over her author presentations, which is really nice. It's like being able to see a Grassin's entire workflow for you, and which I think it's an unappreciated thing. Like, I have a lot of free time. I'm also generalist, so I tend to like understand more of most fields and most people. So in a sense, like I could like be a personal assistant to maybe certain Grassins in a variety of fields, simply because of like say my big picture thinking. But it's like it's just not something that's, so I know some people they are like personal assistants to official personal assistants to people like Nick Bostrom or Max Tegmark or people like that.
Who else should have a personal assistant?
Okay, so to be honest, I think everyone should have a personal assistant if it's possible. I mean, that's what computer technology is like. Probably a lot of people do. As also like automating. So like an automated personal assistant is something that follows you around, that basically like finds patterns and like say even watches you as you highlight or watches you as you scribble notes, and then it captures the footage and then somehow auto categorizes it in a way that if you like, even in Google Photos right now, it's very brown, but at least it allows me to automatically search like where I've taken photographs of, like if I took a photograph in New Haven a few days ago, I can just search for the date. So, and also like AI, I would say those automated assistants can work in conjunction with certain types of manual labeling, where one manually labels things, and also one manually labels things according to someone's sentiment too.
Nice. I'm gonna shift the camera for a second. I'm curious. No, it's better lighting over here. So I just wanted to. It's really tricky because of the slant.
Yeah. Also, I think people should like live vlogging capturing scenes more, because it's like it makes moments. It's the only thing that makes things unforgettable. So, and people can recreate. People also can recreate their own memories. Their old memories much, and simulate their old memories and their old processes much more than new ones that are unfamiliar to them. And it's so like if you really deeply appreciate someone and capture your ability to appreciate them on film more, it allows you to recreate those moments where that are truly special to you and them. And it just makes like closeness and updating and basically like updating to that to the new context of the person much easier.
Yeah, I just was trying to get the balance right so it didn't fall. But what you just said was quite beautiful, actually.
Yeah. Thanks. Yeah, like I have so many moments that make me. It's like, you know how Holly Elmore, like she in her blog post about how like helping her, like looking at all the photos she took over the past year, like helped her from depression. It's kind of like that affects people. Like otherwise you don't want your life to, like, say, be empty by the time you're old. You want to be able to see. You want to basically see and simulate what your life was like in the far past. It doesn't necessarily mean living in your past, but rather just being able to re-simulate it. Because I mean, people still have a general gist. People still have the general gist of how things evolve. So the novelty-seeking function in them is not going to make them always stick to the past. Rather, they're going to like maybe get say. Even if you like capture video of say 5% of it, it's good enough to simulate a lot of the same feeling.
Yeah.
So it's like I think people maybe should record maybe say 10% of each day. I think even if you just record like the 10% of each day, that would be such a beautiful experience, especially because there's a lot of like time-dimensional data that is lost. That's basically lost. Like how do you, sometimes the question asks how do you maximize an agent's learning rate? And I think, like cramming it all in isn't necessarily the best way to optimize it. It's adding context to, it's basically, because with cramming there's a lot of like compression and a lot of context is lost because the human mind, the human memory seems to attach to a context better in the long run. So if you have like, the additional dimension of time to provide context with extra layers of detail, then it basically makes your memories richer and maybe with less bits than you to encode information, simply because you're going to be encoding information at a certain rate every day, and they're going to be salient features, and the types of information that are more easily encoded onto bits are like it's just more efficiently compressible if you just stretch out the most important learning over time rather than cramming it.
Got it.
Yeah, like. Definitely seismic changes that happen every decade, for sure.
Yeah. How are you feeling right now?
Oh, so basically, like, I'm feeling mixed feelings. Definitely, like, I wish this happened much earlier. And I wish I had a routine of practice doing this much earlier. I also found my computer, I lost some files on my computer. Some of them are auto-deleted, which made me feel a little bit sad. But, I mean, I think I had, even though Ura read doesn't say so, I probably was able to get relatively decent sleep. So, it's like, I feel like I have more agency to, like, clean my rooms than I did for a while. Like, this is something that I often don't exactly have a fullest agency for, but I wish I had more agency for. Yeah.
I think maybe we could wrap up today's filming soon.
Yeah.
In Aidan Fitzsimons' famous words, what are your last words, if any, do you have?
Oh man, yeah. Wilman has also asked me this.
Wilmanitis?
Yeah, you know him?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, so yeah. Some people. Yeah, I'm gonna do another one of the Teal Fellows in Montreal later this month. Yeah, and a lot of people like. What was really important about the Teal Fellows is that everyone was like so impressed with them like 5 years ago, and they still are impressive, and they still are amazing people. And they still like energize you a lot, but as the case with all people, most people do get bound up in commitment, so they're not always like they're not consistently the most energizing all the time. So you just have to appreciate them as they are when they energize you the most.
Should I hit end?
Yeah, you can hit end.
Link from music to visual perception.
Okay.
To these color spaces.
Okay.
It's like a total link that you're defined in the software. Tested on different people, and I'm so curious to see how much agreement there is in these colors.
Agreement with Qualia?
You can, yeah, because you can train this synesthesia for sure.
Okay.
And yeah, it starts in a sound space. For me, because I'm so audio sensitive, there's an energy that comes from an audio space that just like, and then it penetrates into these different emotional moods, these different textures, and then from there I can see how my default mode network's going to be parsing the new information stream. And it's this other interpretation of this reality. And then I just write in color.
Okay.
And so I build a database of these thoughts or like work that has been delegated to this computer, this network, right? So delegate this orange work here, delegate the dark green work here, revisit what are the principles governing the operation of this network, what are the color transform functions between like when the energy is a gray state or a blue state, how do you move to the desired color, where you can look at like the people you're going to interact with, you can look at the tasks that you need to do, and you can pick the like color transform function that you want. How about you? Where have you been?
I was in the Bay Area for a week, but since we met, it's been like almost like pretty much a year.
Yeah. I saw you in the interview on simulation.
Yesterday?
I guess it was yesterday.
Do you follow it regularly? Or?
I watched episodes from now to now. It's incredible.
Yesterday was a shitstorm.
What's that?
Yesterday was a shitstorm.
No, you don't see it in the third party's perspective. There's so much information being generated by this authentic interaction, and it's a shitstorm.
Is it actually authentic?
I don't know. You're just looking at this and you're just like, okay, this is just, there's zero, there's thinking about like what this normal people who are doing interviews think about. And so as someone who has seen perhaps many interviews and listened to, it's like, there's so much information. And so you generate so much information and you're implementing these transformation functions for other people, and potentially not for you. But if you see it a particular way, potentially for you as well, you could get like a high entropy like information transition.
Oh, totally. Because what I want you max before, but just the high information transmission.
Yeah.
There are people in their natural environments. Interviews themselves are not the most authentic environments, anyways.
Yeah. If you're in a color space in which you're thinking about perception modulation.
Okay.
And if you're just whatever, you're just like, and then you go with it, then potentially they could be authentic. Or you could be uncolored by the notion that there will be some effect of
some effect of
no, you change the frequency it was on. Yawns generate a lot of information too.
Really?
Yeah.
About basic tiredness, but also the frequency spectrum of the yawn.
Yeah, right? And like yawning is contagious for a reason. Like I felt an urge to yawn. I was reminded of this yesterday too, the power of going to a lower frequency. It's nice.
Like the Foresight people, and they're like, I think the Foresight, you should visit Foresight sometime. They do have open, they do seem to be open crowd. They care about things like aging and longevity and also consciousness.
Are they here in Boston?
No, they're in the Bay Area.
Yeah, okay.
And they're also like, what the thing about them, they have some level of resources and support and some ability to like grant some legitimacy to certain types of edgy scientific projects, even if they're not, say, mainstream. They do create task reports. Like, let me just get one of the task reports right now.
Yeah, sure.
I think I did it with me here. The task report here. And the task report here. So, yeah, they also have some of their presentations, which they also like record in high resolution, which I really appreciate, because you get to actually see like the thought process behind some of these people, which they're very clear at explaining things, like Stephen Fox, which I appreciate. And so it's like, and they also like provide some pathway for some people. Well, yes, for some people to still stay involved with science, even if not necessarily science-based academia. And I think they just have a very good good eye towards certain types of anomaly or weirdness, which might be a little bit harder to come by in like science academia. So
nice. They're willing to put more of their energy in stuff that isn't mainstream or stuff that is likely to stimulate interest.
Yeah, like for example, carbon capture using olivine rocks. When he was a starter founder before that. He was into he was a starter founder of NeutroBox before he went to this new startup that involved using olivine to pull air from the atmosphere. And I think climate change it does move really slowly because like they have to go through all these conventions and consensus and like PCC reports. Yeah. And they're like skeptical, and they're like moving very slowly in geoengineering, even though they kind of know that geoengineering is probably our only realistic solution to the entire scene.
Do they address the question in the research? How, what information, technology, just events stimulate a level of attention with the environment, where you're connected to like the information that would come to your mind in the bottom of just the environment, nature, trees, and so on. What are the technologies that stimulate this? Because I think if people are really connected to the environment and nature, they're going to want to put more energy into stuff like climate change.
Oh yeah, connecting people to nature stuff. That'll be something you should ask the Foresight people. Yeah. Which. Yeah, I could maybe interview you too because they'd
be interested too.
Yeah.
Nice.
Like they propose they also like research proposals for like measuring oxidative say protein stress. Like one of them created protein stress detection outline proposal, which is great because most time people are really secretive about their proposals. Like if you look again at the nanotechnology for aging last year, that's what they.
I wonder what percentage of this knowledge, the emphasis on this type of knowledge. You're talking about hardware.
Hardware.
Yeah, right. Yeah. No. Hardware is nice. It's an important conversation to have hardware. But when you're publicly communicating in ways that affect the amount of attention people pay to things like climate change, if you pay more attention to harnessing the energy, connecting to the energy, which is not really a hardware level of analysis, if you want to disseminate this type of knowledge and explain it, there's a different level of analysis, I think, that you want to go for when you're communicating about this stuff. I'm wondering if they pay attention to what this level of analysis is in the research, not hardware. Mm-hmm. Do you know?
This level of analysis in the research. As in what analysis again?
Level of information processing.
Okay. Yeah. No, I think that it's like applying physical principles.
Yeah, nice. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Alex.
Yes.
Did you get to see the QRI folks?
Oh, Quentin. Yes, Quentin came there. Are you familiar with the QRI people yet?
No.
Andres. It's totally up your alley.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Quentin. Yeah. I think Quentin describing all his activities as in navigator in college and all the funding he generates. It's like one of the very few genuine scenes that has actually made me maybe somewhat excited. Like there aren't that many scenes that actually do make me excited at the stage. But oh my god, it's like this is actually like real progress.
Nice. Yeah. Wait. What is the progress?
Oh, Quentin's real progress.
Yeah. Well. So what?
Oh, like connecting with funders, connecting with being able to interface with a lot of college students, like people at Brown, for example. Also, just like he can get people like Luke Nozick, Jim O'Neill, Tyler Alterman, that kind of, it's definitely that core group of people that tends to go to many of the same events and stuff. I think we also saw some progress, some change in the leadership in the anti-aging sphere in the Sense Foundation. Like
Nice.
Jim O'Neill is gonna have a new leadership role, and Carl Flieger is going to donate much more.
Yeah.
So that sort of turnover.
Well, I want to ask a question
Yes.
about anti-aging.
Yes.
Okay, so that seems to me a problem where
I posted it on my wall.
you want a lot of energy and thought going into both the hardware and the information processing level.
Oh, totally.
Yeah, and there's this synergy between those two that potentially you can find.
Well, yeah, I think, for example, better hardware allows you to better capture the units of information. So it's actually like grounded rather than all abstract, and also it increases the confidence with which you can speak of these units.
Yeah.
Like if you also it's a way of getting people to understand how our abstractions actually interface in the real world, how they can be observables.
Nice. Yeah. Because I'm in neuroscience fields a lot, where certainly there is like a real relevance to the hardware in neuroscience, but I think it's overemphasized a little bit, or like there's right. And so if I'm exploring ways of interfacing with the brain, for example with the eyes or the ears, I'm not thinking directly about how physical material is registering in these transducers, though this knowledge exists, right? The level of analysis that I need when I'm designing these brain-computer interfaces is more at the information processing
you were
level.
talking about designing brain-computer interfaces last year from our talk when we walked back to the Tufts. What have you do you? Oh yeah, and Quentin, by the way, is all into BCIs.
Yeah.
Nice. One of the scenes that he wants to involve is connectome harmonics or connectome specific harmonics, and trying to figure out if there's a way to measure these waveforms in the brain, and if there are connectome specific harmonic waves in the brain that can be picked up, so that we can actually neurofeedback or brain stimulate the brains, or get the brains motivated enough to consistently be attracted to those states. And maybe if you access those states from a wider range of contexts, then this could be the sufficient causal inference. By the way, Jeremy's really into causal inference.
Nice.
The context that allows someone to move from the BCIs into to continually access these heightened states of qualia, which then result in just greater states
slowing down the brain potentially.
Slowing down the brain.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So me and this guy should talk. And
he's also talked to. He can talk to Carl Friston even.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, Carl Friston
is a freaking rock star among some of our circles.
Here's okay. So what I want to do in part is develop a language based on the free energy principle for just thinking at an abstract level to begin with, because that's all you really need in the space of conversation when you're painting potentially these realities, that whatever those realities are just that's the design process. The free energy principle describes a set of laws potentially for interfacing with the brain.
Can you explain really quickly how you know Alex?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's see. So Luke Sabor, I think, I got pulled into this community through somebody, potentially Luke Sabor, and
What community?
I don't know how to describe the common set, but I've noticed that there's just this a Facebook community where there are many mutual friends and people who who think in similar ways and yet different ways,
Oh,
and there's
yes.
something that binds them in their thinking. I don't know what that is. How would you describe that?
Oh yes, yeah. I think there's a lot of people interested in consciousness, certain type of edginess. Just also like
Yeah.
there's like an understanding that it's like similar. There's like this group of people who will friend anyone who says something that seems sufficiently new and different enough from everyone else while still maintaining a very high respect for scientific facts or very empirically verifiable information.
Yeah,
So I go
yeah,
after the crowd, and then a
yes.
lot of other people like Natalia
Nice.
Mendonca
Nice.
would also go after the crowd. Like Natalia actually asked a good question. Who do you think is out of everyone in the world who is the most modern day equivalent to John von Neumann? So I saw some people like Martin Dirt say Carl Friston, for example, or even other people were guessing. It's just like it's a group of people who are guessing who are clearly super high openness and know how to like kind of like scour everything. I just find it really tragic it's on Facebook where it's going to be so impossible for future people to access.
Yeah.
Even Christine Peterson in Foresight was talking about social media use, but she was talking a bit too much about Facebook and less about other platforms.
I would almost suggest that perhaps what binds these people is a level of abstraction, and it's a level of abstraction that's emerged from integrating very many different pieces of information, and also a sort of moral integrity for truth telling. Potentially.
Yeah, moral integrity for truth telling. That's what I don't like with simulation theories because I didn't sense it had it's obsessed with conflict enlightenment or the interconnectedness of everything. He just repeats a lot of cliches that aren't exactly say testable, empirically verifiable, or at least empirically meaningful.
Okay, here's a question for you. To what extent are you limiting where you put your energy by the space of possibilities or questions that are empirically verified? And if you were to relax this commitment to empiricism, how would that change the energies and the questions that you have and the funding sources?
So there's abstraction versus empiricism. Like if you go too abstract, it's not empirical anymore. Or if you build models, a lot of models are not exactly the most empirical things either.
There are different groundings you could have in empiricism.
Yeah.
Empiricism is about people going off and doing experiments that are not entirely like organic connection. Many like top-down modules, different incentives. And if you have different standards, for example, connection that happens in a moment with a tree, with another human being.
Yeah.
And it's just that it's a sort of different standard, and it's just by having many conversations with many different people. For me, one debate currently is do I want to be an academic? And I wonder, I'm afraid of how this would change my incentive structures towards more empiricism.
Yeah, I
and
know.
then it would be a waste of many of my energies.
Academics are not exactly the optimal ones.
Yes.
Have you heard of Mercado's fellowship?
No. What is that?
It's like a fellowship to a reward, give stipends to a lot of to people who are doing meaningful work, but who may fall outside of traditional funding paradigms. A lot of it's geared towards it. It has no age restrictions, even though like a lot of it is geared towards say younger people. It's not, but I mean some older people also win it too. So it's great. It also has an eye towards a lot of say. Independent thinkers, contrarian thinkers. It has a group of people like Gara of Encadron, man, who is trying to do some with planarians research, and he talks to people like Bruce Chapman.
Okay.
Who is like
Nice. Okay. Yeah, I'll have to look into that. That sounds interesting. I don't know who these names are.
Yeah, you should. I should create it.
You are in a very special place in humanity, I would say. Honestly, you exert potentially a lot of influence with your network. It's a very powerful network, and it's a special mind that you have, and the integration that you do, and also this this commitment you have to openness, and you're distributing all this information. It's very interesting.
Yeah.
What you're doing, I think. Tell me more about what you're doing in the last year.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so I do travel around more. So like I'm going to Montreal shortly. It's more about aging. But there are actually some of the people like Alan Cohen are like really friendly to outsiders, and also they understand some of the issues within academia that are preventing people from being free thinkers or from being creative thinkers. I know in aging, like a lot of people, it's a complicated field for sure because the amount of outsider attention in aging is much, much higher than the outsider attention in many other academic fields. And not all of it is BS. Even though there is a lot of noise in it, I do sense that a lot of people.
The incentives must be real in aging research because we don't want each other to die.
Yeah. No, aging research just provides some of the best and most direct measurables ever. It affects your ability to do research, especially in an era when people are taking longer and longer to get their PhDs and to actually get in their assistant professor position.
Yeah, I imagine that there's a question that you are very well calibrated to give an estimate of, and though of course you do not know the answer, but I would really like to hear your speculation, which is the sort of expected age range of let's say you and me, like if I'm 30, how long would you expect to live if you were to bet? How would you think about the probability distribution?
Okay, this is conditioned on so many factors: his geopolitical stability or instability.
Insofar as you've integrated them in this moment, and sure, I would like to hear how you condition it on changing variables.
I have a feeling that if longevity escape velocity is achieved, it's probably only going to be achieved maybe in the late 2000, the later half of the century. We will have to go through several generation changes, including maybe one generation change when people are finally when the norm of going to compulsory public education is finally destroyed, and which then incentivizes people to actually feel independent. Like right now, we're in the age of automation. And within maybe a generation or two, we may see automation destroy many jobs and careers, in which case individuals will be propelled towards valuing traits like independence, not thinking the crowd, and also maybe people won't be so glued into traditional mediums of publishing, like academic publishing, where it's insanely hard it's just fucking nightmare for people to go through all the past literature when there's just more papers published per year. When the number of papers per year is growing faster than the number of eyeballs that can see them. But anyways.
Okay, now a different question, slightly related, which is, you've given an answer and a way of thinking about it currently. Now, imagine that you are the most powerful person in the whole world.
Oh man.
How are you tilting these variables to change the the probability?
Oh god. Okay. So if I were the most powerful, this would achieve. I know Quentin. He's a way of accessing some important people. Some of the people in the teal.
Sam, do you want to help me?
Yeah. Sure.
Thank you.
So one thing that I really want you to do now more is long form writing. Another thing is influencing people who are willing to give money. Another thing is freeing certain types of people
I can't.
And some of it does involve coordinating with people who know fundraisers or venture capitalists, and also some of it is instilling a value system of this thing. This thing is actually possible, and it's actually just better than the conventional mainstream path where I feel like I'm suffering all the time. I think some of it involves making people feel safe enough to relocate to maybe relocate to an environment where they feel more support, where they feel greater support structures to say continuously produce original content, ideally for the public commons, where you know that what happens to the public commons. Some of it also involves bounties for achieving certain points on the research agenda. I think Foresight Institute could be assigning bounties. I know that some people like Jun Yun already assigned bounties for credible solutions to the problem of aging.
There's an underlying suspicion active in everybody who's talking to everybody else.
Yeah.
Which is, do you want a reality? You want to produce just a set of things where there's more energy flowing through the set of things associated.
Oh, more higher energy moments. That's like the
Yeah.
velocity of money. That's what the U.S. does when they keep lowering interest rates. For whatever reason, other countries are feeling U.S. debt, but somehow the U.S. has a way of changing the value of such debt in a way that Americans seem to still afford to be reckless spenders for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And other countries just have, but yeah, it's also like velocity of research grants or the velocity. Also, I think people need to just be better at finding their cognitive fit and not be passive listeners to more lectures, because lectures they eliminate a lot of the velocity. So one thing is that if you have high velocity, you have higher visible output, and most people's output, like when they're in problem sets or exams or just internal documents, it's not out there in the commons where it can. But if people are more open with the content, it's just easier and then you have the proper search. Post Google search engines to find that content that almost magically appears in response to. In fact, there could be like privacy protected search engines where you opt in services that do NLP, that do some sort of magical NLP based search, and where organic search engines can organically match some people to you.
There's a set of
based
problems.
on what you have.
There's
already.
a set of problems that
and what you can guess. I guess formative. Even or it can even like ask you to make a checklist of what you're missing and what you want. Like kind of like dating sites, but people have been constantly talking about like dating sites for scientific research or dating sites for scientific collaboration. And some of those have been set up, but they don't exactly achieve great traction. Maybe because scientists aren't exactly perpetual early adopters. Mm-hmm. Even though they do sometimes, when like new software packages like Agilent, Seahorse, Agilent.
You're saying the problem is with the flow of information.
Yeah. Also, like flow of momentum, like flow that you can realistically expect people to do things.
So people are not persuaded in the possibility potentially for a solution. And the relationship between work and progress toward
work and progress toward a solution. Yes, a burnout is a theme people experience where they consistently expect that more work does not result in more progress towards a solution. For example.
Yeah. Okay. So what are indicators, like what does Sense Foundation publish as sort of incremental steps that are progress?
So they do publish the project of their projects. Like I would appreciate the sense that they have to be open and public about what they send money towards, and so there is accountability. They do have to be accepted. There are also like one thing I love about longevity people is that people who care about longevity also tend to care about longevity of what they write on the internet. So it's also people realize that it's kind of like a lifelong project. So, and because of a lifelong project...
What is a lifelong project? Maintaining your information on the internet, or...?
Yes, exactly. Like, making sure it's not deleted. Like, you can see sites in the late 90s or early 2000s about longevity. And because people actually care about maintaining this shit. It's also a valid system that does not drift.
Yeah.
You can see discussions from 2 decades ago, which you cannot necessarily see with other platforms.
To some extent, this is part of the problem. Right?
Oh.
The drive to preserve the information on the web, the fact that everybody has this drive, and it's because we're getting so many information impulses, and it's hard to focus, and it's hard to prioritize and see exactly which is
but it's
where
easy.
to put
It's
your
easy
energy.
it's easy for someone to outline where other people where to prioritize. Like just create an outline of all the aging documents, and there are a lot of people who already create shit.
Nice.
Like this one person we should totally visit something. Vince Giuliano. He's like 90 years old, but he had a second career, and he started learning so much biochemistry in the 60s and 70s, and even though it's very abstract to other people, it's actually super understandable to me.
So I think one of the problems here then potentially is that the concern to push and spread is at an anti-correlation with the creative and depth needed to come up with insights. And so the people who are coming up with the insights, they aren't putting as much energy into a dissemination and publication of it. And so there's these. It's if you could make the incentive structures work better, so that there would be a greater facility for collaborations of voices like yours. You're super spreader, super connector, and and people who are just new, because you could if you exerted more power, you could say like, this is the publication potentially which is doing this, but some of this like speech is like I don't know. I mean, I think it potentially rubs people the wrong way.
Alex, I'm probably gonna head out in like 10 15 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah.
But real quick, is it okay if I ask a couple boring questions?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, why are you here today?
So I've been meaning to reach out and see Alex for a while, and then yesterday I saw this video on and anyway, it just made me think of Alex and just go talk to him.
Yeah. Alex, do people visit you a lot here?
Not so much now as in previous years. Like, a lot of my friend group is now in the Bay Area. A lot of us has relocated, so it's less than before.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's Alex's skin. You can see here, he has very little sun damage. It's almost like he spent his whole life in a library.
That's pretty good.
It's amazing.
You can only see the lint, I guess.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
And my lips.
And your teeth, yeah. And Alex, what are you drinking?
Pinot Noir.
How is it?
It's moderate.
Oh my god!
You got it in?
Yeah. That's kind of cute. Aww. Wait, what was the question?
Okay.
For reference?
How do you differentiate between value and noise?
Value noise. So we're back to the context. We were talking about my curl profile and whether it's the most normie profile or the least normie, and I was saying how it's like intimidating, but it's also like the least normie profile ever. Which so I'm also saying on the internet it's important to seem the normie, or in order to like be distinct from everyone else, because there are like thousands of profiles on the internet. And when there are thousands of profiles on the internet, you're not going to be remembered unless you actually have a profile that's somewhat distinctive. And actually, normie and non-normie, I think none. Okay, so here's the thing. Right now, it is a case that people just don't have courage to be themselves. People don't have the courage to be authentic, and I think in all like core profiles, people are just showing. Okay, so I'll be honest. I have actually seen Facebook back in 2005 and 2006.
You were on it back then?
Yes.
In 2006?
2006, yes.
Oh my god.
Yes, back when the newsfeed was. Back when they were complaining about the newsfeed. That was back when people joined all the weird name groups, which were actually far more authentic. So Facebook back then was far more authentic than Facebook is now, basically. Like, people were actually like willing. People actually had like about me pages.
Yeah.
And favorite quotes. Like, people actually used those, and people actually like people actually like join groups that show their character, even though like Americans Embarrassed by Americans. This was back when everyone.
Wait, what is that?
Americans Embarrassed by Americans is like
Americans Embarrassed by Americans.
Because
Have you heard
Americans
of this?
Embarrassed by Americans voted for George W. Bush.
Okay, it must
There
be
are
a really old Facebook group.
What?
Yeah, it must be an old Facebook group.
Yeah. And there's also there's like against gay marriage, then don't get one and shut the fuck up. That was another classic one. Another one is
Were these really active, these groups?
Yes, very. Liberal elitists united against the rest of America, or I remember the political groups because like Facebook, millennials were like very. I mean, the George W. Bush years kind of ruined.
Yeah.
The entire Republican brand among millennials.
What do you want to do when you like grow up, or when you get a profession?
Oh man, this is so hard. I think I would like not be trapped, and also just so I've realized that almost every people don't study history enough, like history of, and even when they study history, they don't really get the context of the people. They never really understand or appreciate the real context of the person, even when they read the biography of the person. Like,
yeah,
it all falls blank to them. Like, they don't realize that there are so many other arrangements that are possible beyond what is traditionally prescribed. So it's like, and you really don't have to follow this one path that everyone tells you to follow in order to be taken seriously. Like, sometimes it's okay to take a gap of like 10 years and then just return to it after 10 years. Or like gap years of like 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. Or, I mean, people like Freeman Dyson and the Higgs boson co-inventor, they recognize this. Like, they actually recognize some of this wisdom. Like, they've lived for like 9 decades already, so they kind of have a grasp of timelines of what matters and what doesn't better than most people, and like they can remember a period of science before it was all this pressure cooker. You have to do where taking a gap from research is like so penalized and automatically makes you ruin the career.
And in the past, it wasn't like that, according to them.
It depends. Like, in the past, it's also like more independent funding, but in the past, when things weren't like publish or perish, or publish get as much citations as you can in order to survive academia. Like, even Peter Tiggs said that he would not survive in today's climate of academia.
Yeah, why don't you think there are more independent scientists that just work out of their own house?
Which is so weird, because I think part of it could have been socialization pressures, because it's like, kind of, if you give advice to a scientist, like, now even Edward Wilson, he's also like he really goes hard again. Yeah, so he wrote a Letters to Young Scientists book, which also contained a lot of wisdom that seems to be lost in people who are too concerned about surviving. And this is why grad school has such high depression rates. But anyways, back to where I'm going. I think it's like what Luca said in his Facebook post. People are it's so hard for people to insulate themselves against social pressures. And even if you're richer than others and have the opportunity to do whatever you want, it's like it's hard for you to find that sort of advice that makes you operationalize for this. Like, why do so many rich people? They have to keep their wealth secret, or else weird stuff happens to them, and then they just don't get the advice they need. Even though it really did used to be the case that richer people could be self-funded, or at least get someone to believe in them. But the point is, I think everyone tries to game it as if as for operationalizing for the same admissions committees rather than a clear statement, a clear writing. So it's like, I know one person says joke of them. He says don't. When I asked him about did you read any sample preparation essays before you apply for college? He says don't read sample essays, because he's all in favor of not over preparing, or not doing not he's like not everyone getting the same information sources in order to let's say succeed into college. Like, the people who I admire a lot are those who get in without trying, but even then it's just so hard. It depends so much on luck that most people don't want the courage to do it, even though the best option is don't try, and just, if you don't get into your top schools, then just do your own scene, and just get the resources to do your own scene, and then even just show it on the internet so that other people can value you and notice you, so that you can eventually obtain the resources for doing the scene. And that I think is what people need the courage for.
Do you think times are different, like 50 years ago, where status games weren't as intense, or no?
Yes, because 50 years ago we had the expansion of a lot of new systems, like the university system, but also there's just so much growth, because so much new scenes, new institutions rather than traditional /established institutions. So it's like there were no hard. That's why people could also income. Like, it's just people talk about how millennials now have so much less than their grandparents had, and this is part of it. That the competition is so fierce because people believe they have to succeed in this first, and part of it is because they're competing against their parents and grandparents, and in addition to all their peers too, especially when obtaining positions.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, my question. Yeah, I went on a really huge discussion. So back to your original question, which was about what was it?
I don't know. It was about value and noise, but the thing is,
value and noise.
I feel like you've
like value, because noise is like trying
in a good way.
When everyone tries to do the same thing, it becomes noise. But value is being unique and showing, and just doing something original, and then original and still like informative in like a directed search way where where what you're doing is still like understandable and it's still like non-trivial, so it has some generalizability. So
I have a follow-up.
Okay.
Yeah, so in your profile you talked about like emergence and whatnot, so that brings into question like notions of time. So
emergence.
What?
Emergence and time.
Emergence and time, yeah.
Yeah,
So like
yeah.
so there's like this concept of like micro interactions. So like right now we're in a micro interaction based on what everyone's time scale is.
Oh yeah.
So
oh yeah, emergence and micro interactions. Oh, you should read this Tufts discovery professor. What's his name again? Yeah, I think so. I think emergence. You want a long-lasting structures to emerge rather than short-acting feedback loops where you're doing it to be polite or you're doing it to satisfy some requirement. Whereas I think. So let me think. Emergence is like there's like emergence of long range structures and just emergence of short range structures that just self-terminate. Like some people they really care about generators. So when you can think of emergence as emergence of a structure of generators that continues to produce generators of their own rather than self-terminating generators.
What do you think about thorium reactors?
I think they're exciting. I'm really excited about them, based on my limited knowledge. It seems like people are taking a really long time to get them to market. I know Bill Gates also is trying to do a different type of nuclear reactor too at the moment.
Do you have an area of expertise?
Biochemistry, if anything, or like biology of aging, but beyond biology of aging, it's like beyond the biology of aging, the internet is another area, and the evolution of like certain aspects of it below, certain like subcommunities of the internet too. Other expertise, colleges and universities. I just know too much about most of them relative to most people. Though I'm still not like, say, the expert of the level of, say, some authors.
Okay.
What do you wish more people outside of your network knew? Because I think the people inside of your network get to hear you a lot and hear your ideas, but there's like, I think, a sharp division between people in your network and people not in your network.
I'm actually not sure if there's that a huge of a subdivision. I think some people on the internet who don't really know me still kind of get it. Like, a lot of people... there are so many, like, early Silicon Valley people. I think someone did remarks on my profile capture those late Silicon Valley ethos. But it's still, like... there are still, like, aspects of the early... Like, if you read, like, early Wire.com people, it seems like a lot of things... that in the network comments, they're like Yoche Benkler or stuff like, or office like that. They seem to get a lot of things independently abided, though they don't really practice it in real life. What their theoretical predictions were, or they don't really practice, say, trying to be a good net citizen. I mean, even or as the perennial early adopter Esther Dyson, she got a lot of things, but now it's like no one really knows who she is.
I don't know.
She's Freeman Dyson's daughter. She was really involved in early digital culture / quantified self, digital health movements, and also a very early venture capitalist / angel investor.
I feel like that didn't answer my question though, which is about people far outside your network.
Yeah.
Maybe you'd even call just like normies in your words, but what do you wish they knew or like thought about differently?
I think
knowing also that they're not going to adopt a completely different worldview that you're espousing.
I think.
What worldview are you
I think
espousing?
I think appreciation of trying to create long-lasting feedback loop, structures that are long-lasting that aren't time pressured and they're conducive for long content, long unpressured content. Meaning that's why I generally value like online or digital communication more, or just anything that can be archived, because with anything that can be archived, you're not you can post it online and then people know that they're not missing out on it, even if they go on a meditation retreat for a year or whatever. Like there's so much FOMO
like this conversation.
Yeah, there's so much FOMO that happens in today's structures. Like if you don't take a class, if you go on a meditation retreat for a year, the fact that you can't take a class, or you won't be able to graduate in the same year as your friends, or that you won't be able to do do X amount of papers before your fifth year of grad school or whatever. Those just create a lot of fear of missing out, and then that causes people to basically be constantly glued into their rapid feedback loops, especially when a lot of meetings are also like conducted in a place where you have to all be physically present, and then you're missing out if you're not physically present. So I just wish people would still, and I wish the internet has promised to solve all these problems, except it apparently hasn't, and people.
Do you think it's exacerbated the problems, or not really?
I don't think so. No.
Okay, but just hasn't solved them.
No, it hasn't solved them.
Yeah. Do you think people expected it to in the early conversations around the internet?
Early conversations, I think certainly, like people talking about like telecommuters and how it would like replace, and it would like make location, like how telecommuting would make location irrelevant, except location has become more relevant than ever. In terms of exacerbating the problem, and it might have in terms of like in drawing everyone to the same 3 big tech cities.
Yeah.
That's in terms of exacerbating the problem. That's probably it. Like nowadays, people always hear about the inequality between the center and the coast, and this has certainly been, like, it seems to have exacerbated. Though this is a more complicated issue than.
Do you think? I mean, you're someone who spends a lot of time online and do a lot of interactions on that, but you're still placing some value on in-person interactions.
Yeah. I think. Magical things somehow do seem like, I think the best option really is you is like co-working spaces where you have the internet and real life next to each other. Just make sure that your in real life interactions can be captured in a way so that you won't miss out on them later, and other people won't miss out on them later.
Yeah. Do you want me to still record this, or should I?
Do you want to say anything?
I have more questions.
Yeah, go.
What do you do now?
Oh God.
This type of question.
Well,
No, it's fine.
I read
I'll still
a lot.
Yeah.
I read a shitload. I interact with a shitload. I try a bunch of different things, so they're all constrained in terms of the information. I know Luli, she said that I seem to have min-maxed on the curiosity, where min-maxing is you max on curiosity and just forget about all your other stats to the point that they're underdeveloped. That's what I do for my curiosity. Except I know I want to create things that actually last and make me more relevant to like new people. I've noticed that a lot of things that were overhyped, that I thought were overrated and overshared back in, say, 7 years ago, were actually pretty damn good. And then no one in 2019 knows what was amazing, what was legitimately amazing 2012. So what I would have done, what an alternate rational version of myself would do, would just to aggregate all the best of the best, and then knowing that this will last, this will be important, this will last and be important for future people. Kind of like what Gwern does. Except I like touch on a broader surface area of topics than even Gwern.
Yeah. Can I ask a question now in between?
Yeah.
So, something I'm thinking about is that Alex should start a Patreon account for himself, because I think he does things in a way that a lot of other people don't.
Yeah, exactly.
And
just for that.
I'm curious, like, even if you wouldn't fund Alex, or if you would, it doesn't matter. Do you think, even if Alex doesn't produce content on the internet, but just like does his thing and people like me document it, that is like of economic value.
Well, if I were to fund Alex, I would talk to Alex about how he would want to rate his progress, how he'd want to measure his progress, and if I, like, as an investor, sign off on that, think it's valuable, I would just leave it up to him. So if he says that I want to do it on the internet, I don't want to do it on the internet, that'd be up to discussion. But like as of right now, I really trust him in terms of like his capabilities and his passion.
Yeah.
So like.
I thought in terms of like being me creating content on the internet, even if it's not say peer reviewable or it's just interesting enough for others to want to read. And I think I frame things in a way others don't, even though I would have thought of it obvious, except a lot of things I think of as obvious aren't exactly obvious, or to a lot of people, especially presented in a certain way. It's like I think a lot of people have it all straight, except that they don't.
You know what I think you're good at, Alex?
What?
It's like something David Foster Wallace is also good at. It's describing things that are like obviously true once you say them out loud, but the average person can't verbalize it or realize they're obvious. So you help people realize things about the world.
Where did David say that, by the way?
Well, he didn't say that.
Okay.
I said that, but the way he writes, like he often describes things in a way that you're like, oh my god, that's such a true aspect of like the world. And it could be something simple about like the way someone crosses their legs and how it makes someone across the room feel.
Yeah.
But like he'll just say that in a way that, oh my god, like I can't believe no one said it before like that, and now it's so
I think
clear.
people like Eric Weinstein are also known for saying that, for doing those things. So whether or not they understand Eric Weinstein is a different thing. Or whether they understand Eric Weinstein the way Weinstein intends for them to understand him.
What, so...
Like, sometimes you do talk about noise and what signal was noise, and if you, like, read enough people, like, everything, and don't have infinite time, then everyone does kind of become noise, especially because there are just so many amazing people on the internet. So the question is, are all of them noise, or are some, when there are so many interesting people, or, like, so many interesting book authors, and what percent of them are actually noise, and what percent of them are actually, like, relevant for the plot or the dialogue?
If I were to chime in on that, I'd say that it depends on the context of the times. So like, this has like many analogs in terms of like constitutional law interpretations, but it's by virtue of the fact that like everything is noise in the grand scheme of things, but we are in a specific point in time, in a specific civilization with specific problems.
Yeah.
There are certain things that are gems that are like hidden and that can be useful for a certain goal, which everyone has different goals. I think my goal is to like just better humanity and to like better like the environment, like better life, to create more compassion in the world, etc. But yeah, so it depends on what your goal is, essentially. And if you still have goals, like some people are falling into nihilism, which is unfortunate.
Oh, yeah, in terms of goals, like, this is so complicated. Like, I also I think my interpretation of consciousness, it might be a bit Heideggerian in a sense. This will take much longer to explain, but it's like, I'm also gonna have to like try to explain the scene better. Actually, there's another person who also has a cool Heideggerian interpretation of consciousness, but anyways, or values, in which like I think my value system is very, very biological. So it's like trying to maximize the biological agent's ability to model the world accurately, but also to know what's possible. Model accurately meaning, but model accurately does not necessarily mean because making accurate predictions, but just knowing what's realistically possible, and knowing what's realistically possible that a lot of people don't know what's possible. Like Ayla Girl, holy shit! Like fuck, seeing so many people admire Ayla Girl. It's like it totally fucks with your entire notion of what's possible.
I don't think Chintan knows Ayla.
Chintan, okay.
We'll show you Ayla later. She has a
Yeah.
good internet presence too.
Yeah, she is.
Honestly, similar to AKC internet presence in some ways.
Hers is more. She is higher than mine.
Really?
Yeah.
You're gonna say that on camera, Alex?
Yeah,
I'm
it's-
zooming into your face now when you said
Yeah,
that.
mine's still not that high.
What makes yours better than yours?
What? Because she has an actual blog that attracts so many page views. She also is even edgier than I am, or publicly edgier than I am.
Yeah, Alex, I think I'm gonna have to pause to enter text message, okay?
Okay.
Here, turn around, Alex.
Okay.
It's actually quite beautiful. Stay where you are.
Okay.
Do you want to say something?
Hey, I'm in Long Island, and Nikki Ridley for the first time, and we're like, yes, and I'm exploring this interesting place in the trail, back to our trail.
Cool. It's a video now. You like it?